Hey friends, it's MJ from the Coaches Panel. I hope you're well. Happy SuperCoach Day. Yep, the team picker is out. So if you subscribe to SuperCoach Gold during the 2023 season, the good news is you can log back into SuperCoach AFL right now and start selecting players for the upcoming 2024 season. Good news, what I'm going to do is run you through my way too early December edition of my SuperCoach team. It is the first of our team reveals, and there'll be an article both for this and some other panel members will reveal theirs too at coachespanel.tv. I'm going to walk you through every single player and give you a quick explanation of who I've picked and why. Let's start in the back line. Who am I starting with at D1? Nick Daicos, defender mid. Gosh, how good was he last year? He defined seasons. I think he might again in 2024. The question is it to start or is it to upgrade? Those early rounds potentially could be challenging with a Finn McGuinness tag and a multi-buy round. Is that enough of a reason to scare people off? It could well be the right approach to fade him. But for now, December, I'm just going to put him in. And if I need to drop down to another premium, I can. I'm not having to bust up my structure too much. I like Nick Daicos in at D1. At D2, the recently re-signed Cat for life, Tom Stewart, another animal for us, over $630,000 price point spending on him. But the reality is it feels like he's worth every single cent. One of the safest 110 plus defenders going round. And I feel like the Cats might just see that little bit more ball than what they're accustomed to. We know how good he can score on any single day. He's a 150 plus SuperCoach threat. Really happy to lock him in at D2. At D3, I think a guy that's going to be uber popular this year, and there's a number of reasons for it. One, he had a great role change towards the end of last year, moving from the back line into the midfield. Two, he's already had that forecast to maintain through the upcoming 2024 preseason. And three, four, next reason is the fact that his Fremantle Dockers have a beautiful fixture and a really handy buy round right at the back. So Hayden Young, for me, really happy to lock him in and away at D3. I feel like his floor is pretty much what he's priced at. His upside, he could be the Jordan Dawson of 2024 for us. So, yep, for me, in at D3, Hayden Young. Kitty Coleman, I was pretty hot on before the AFL final series, but man, did the rest of the community really pick up on him fast. He was awesome. He held Daniel Rich out of the side. Now with Rich retiring, he is going to be the distribution unit coming off halfback for the Lions. There is an early buy that might be a little bit of a trouble point for us, but again, worst case scenario, we get to that early buy. He's not delivering. I can move to the breakout guy that is. So to me, really happy to lock him away at D4. D5 and D6 are all one word: value. Both have historically shown they're reasonable scorers, one arguably better than the other. But I've got Chapman for me right now in at D5. Again, much like Hayden Young has been forecast for a move up through the midfield. I think it's more wing than inside mid, but that's fine for me. More marks. Fremantle, especially at Optus Stadium, do have a really fantasy-friendly game in SuperCoach. So to me, I'm really happy at this price point to get basically at 250. He's what, 45,000 more than Harley Reed, so he's barely more than a cash cow. Proven scorer, can deliver pretty safe 80s over his career. He's shown pockets of that. If I can get them early, man, that money's going to spin hard. And then Zach Williams. I think unless he breaks down in the preseason, a large portion of the SuperCoach community are going to be all on him at just 10,000 more than Harley Reed. Let's call him a cash cow. And for a cash cow that we know can score tons and has gone on runs of tons and goes 90 plus seasonal averages, yeah, for me, I feel like in your early teams, you just got to put Williams in and then adjust around to other kids if you need them. My bench guys, politely, like everybody else's benches should be at this time of the year, they're just fillers until we start to know more information. But I've got Gibcus from the Tigers, who I think is going to get plenty of opportunities early, and also Caulfield. Might not be in the best 22 or 23 of the Dogs, but his price point, he's basically a basement cow. It's hard to go past it. Let's jump into the midfield. Maybe an interesting mix of midfielders for you, but I'll talk them through. In at M1, I'm going to start with Rory Laird. Outside of that brain fart of a round one last year, he's basically given us 2 years of being this 120 monster. To me, I'm really quite confident that Laird should continue that on again in 2024. Not starting and paying up the big bucks just yet, for a Bontempelli, but you'll see a little bit where I've spent some of those extra dollars along the way to kind of afford it. In at M2, yeah, just gone across the city, really. Zack Butz, he was enormous last year, broke out for us, hugely impactful type of player. A little bit concerned about some potential tags that might come his way, but his scoring is amazing. And much like Fremantle, who I have alluded to, has got a really nice early run of games, a really favourable bye, and some good opposition in that first 6 to 8 weeks too. So to me, I'm looking at Zack Butz and feel like I might be able to jag a 120 to 125 over the first 6 to 8 weeks of the year and really set my season up for success. It's that same thought process I've gone with Andrew Brayshaw. Again, probably more suited scoring-wise to the other formats historically, but again, a bad year last year, and that's probably really harsh to say, but just over 600,000, given the fact that I feel like he could reach to a 115, 120 plus this year, I'm really quite confident to spend the money. And again, his fixture, his early opposition, and that bye just gives me so much confidence. I really feel like Andrew Brayshaw could pop, especially now that he's no longer the tag target. I think Caleb Sarong showed last year that he's the one you want to limit his ball winning on the inside, whereas Brayshaw, who does have that, can accompany it with outside ball use, good ball use, and pick up plenty of points through tackle. So I'm pretty confident with that. Jack Steele for me at just over 528, I think 529,000, to me is a guy that I feel like he can bounce back significantly. Maybe not up to the monster legacy days of years gone by, but still feel really comfortable. The 115 is right within his wheelhouse. You talk about a year going wrong, everything went wrong for Jack last year. And I'm really happy to pay this kind of salary cap for him. If he can jog his way and get his way through the preseason, then yeah, this could be a really great pick. And if not, there is a bunch of guys at this 530 price point, even drop down a little bit low, which we'll get into a sec, into the mid 400s, that feel really interchangeable and easy. So that structurally, I don't have to change too much if I need to move 50,000 each way. So I'm pretty confident with that. Taking a little bit of a flyer at M5. Yeah, I'm up to M5. Ollie Wines, again, 463,000, and everything went wrong for him and didn't get the role, but I'm happy to put him there because if it's not him, I've got a Simpkin, I've got a Guthrie, I've got a plethora of options, but I do want to just see what this team looks like with him in this spot. I feel like if he can get back into this midfield, even as the fourth member behind a Rosie, Horn, Francis and Butters, if he can get back to being number 4 in there, then maybe there's a pathway for him to go 100. Remember, we're just a couple of years removed from him being a Brownlow medal winner, and his history, yep, the midfield has changed for sure, but his history is a pretty safe 100 guy. And if he can draw that out early, well, for a guy that's considerably cheaper, I could be getting a really nice investment for. Last 3 people on the field are all cows: McCurcher, Sanders, and a cow in price point, not in performance, in Jeremy Sharp. I think all 3 of these guys should see plenty of games. McCurcher, the Roos love, might even play him off half back, especially if Sheasel's moving into the mid or centre part of the ground. Sanders, I feel like they're just going to want to give him every opportunity in the world. They gave up a lot of draft capital to get into a player like him. And Jeremy Sharp, he showed he scores SuperCoach tons for us at Gold Coast, and that wing role for Fremantle is slightly open with no Liam Henry, and Blake Acres a year further removed from that. So feels like he's being targeted, albeit as a delisted free agent. He could be the guy that sneaks in. My bench, again, with the exception of one, feel pretty just name throw. Dan Curtin, the Crows are going to pick him in round 1. I like him, giving me that defensive mid flexibility through there. So happy to pick him. And then Cleary and Matt Roberts, both from the Swans, I've got in at D, 9 and 10. So that's what I've got through there. The Rucks, gosh, this is where we could see a lot of difference in people's teams. We could see set and forgets with the likes of English and Marshall. We could see pure value with Grundy and Cherry, or we could see a combination of all of those. And then there's one guy that probably should sit in that conversation, and that's Max Gawn. And that's who I've got right now at R1, under 600,000. But Max, as a sole ruck, he could be the best scorer in SuperCoach. He really, really could. So for me, I'm really, really happy to spend the cash and to go and get him. I feel like he could be comparable to a Marshall and an English in SuperCoach. And so I'm happy to do that. going to accompany him with Brody Grundy, under 500,000. Is he going to get back to those 120 plus SuperCoach days? He could. I don't need him to at this price point, though. If he can get me up to a 110 and the money's saved with this potentially value ruck structure, allowing me to get some other bigger names through the back line and through the midfield with the way I've structured up, then I might be okay to lose 10 points per game of Grundy to a Marshall or an English type if I can offset that with 15 to 20 points per game, let alone the cash generation in another position and another line with what I've done. I've got Sam Naismith in at R3. I think of all the cheap rucks, he's the best chance to play, just knowing that Nankervis finds a way to get injured and suspended, and he should be the guy that rolls straight in. It wouldn't actually shock me either if they find a way to play 2 rucks. It really wouldn't shock me. Let's see what Adam Uze does. Hey, let's head to the forward line before we wrap up this quick team reveal for SuperCoach. In at F1, he'll be really popular. Jackson McCrae. He's got 120 pedigree. He's the highest averaging player in the forwards we've got available to us right now. And with no Bailey Smith, who I know didn't take a heap of midfield minutes away, it's just one less mouth to feed and one less person to compete with to get back into that midfield group. If he can get back around the ball a little bit more, then a 110 is really comfortable. Or at worst, he holds and is a high 90s guy. And in a year with plus options in the forward line, you got to spend it somewhere. And I'm really happy that he feels to me like the one I'm most safe putting money in on his head at F1. The rest of the forward line, well, it's a bit of a dart throw. I know some are keen on Flanders. We'll talk about him, I'm sure, in the 50 most relevant, which is every single day on this channel, as well as through podcasts and our website, coachespanel.tv. I'll be looking through who I think are the most relevant players for SuperCoach and the other formats for 2024. We'll be doing a player a day, ranking them in order. Flanders, absolutely, he makes the list. Where is the question? Right now, I'm not happy to spend the cash on him until I see a few more things. It's why I'm starting in at F2. A little bit of value with Zack Fiser, just under $400,000. He's shown he can score across that halfback role when he was at Carlton. He's now been traded to North Melbourne, and he's been alluded to by the club already. Early in the preseason, I know that he's going to get that plum role that Zeeble, Hall, and Sheasel over the past couple of years have all scored incredibly well in. So not only could he open up that defensive forward DPP link for me, but I think he could return a heap of value in a line that I really don't like. Elijah Sardis, I've got at F3 again. For some people, under $250,000, that's really thin in the forward line. And I would say, yes, it is. But I do not like the forward line and spending up big time. You could maybe spend another 100 or 200,000. I could flip it with an Ollie Wines type and jump in there. And again, it's December. You can do anything you like. It's just getting a team out there, get a little bit of a look and feel, and muck around with it. You never hold it too deeply what could happen from there. So for me, really happy to put Elijah Sardis there. I think he picks up midfield time, and he showed last year he can score points per minute wise as a decent SuperCoach scorer. And again, we'll make the point, in a line that doesn't need to be big 95 plus scorers to be a breakout. The fact is he's 40 odd K more than Harley Reed. He's a glorified cash cow. He's shown he can score, and he should be getting more midfield opportunity. Man, a 70-75 with DPP. Yeah, okay, this could be a real win for us. F4, Harley Reed. Plain and simple. He'll get plenty of games. He'll get plenty of opportunities. And job security is important for us. No doubt scoring too, but job security is important. Again, in my starting squad, happy to put him there. And it's the same reason why I've got Zane Dersma in at F5. North Melbourne do seem to find ways to score fantasy points for us, for sure. How much scoring has he got as a capacity within him as a midfield forward for them? Not too sure. But again, the reality is, he's one of the top end forwards for us. If he doesn't go well, if there's others that are popping off, I'll just go and get those guys. So don't be too fussed by it. And then really the last three, you could put them in any order, but you could put Finn McCrae, Aaron Cadman, and Manna from the Cats. Any of those three guys you could put at F6. But again, they're all rotational guys at the moment that look like they should get plenty of early games in their side. McCrae and Cadman are a little bit more prover. Manna is a mature age pickup by the Cats, and they've got a pretty good history of that, Tim Kelly, of recent years. And so for me, that's what I'm looking like for my 30 players in SuperCoach. But who are you thinking about? Who was the first player you picked in SuperCoach when the team pickers came out? Who did you pick first in defense, mids, rucks, forwards? Comment below and let me know. I'd love to know who you picked first in SuperCoach, and also what's one big call you've got to make? What is it? Is it that Marcus Bontempelli struggles to go over 110? That'd be a big call, but is that your big call? Anyway, let me know in the comments section below. If you just found the Coaches Panel here on YouTube, make sure you followed and subscribed us here on this channel. Turn the notifications on, because from January the 1st, a brand new video episode every single day, counting you down who I think are the most relevant players for SuperCoach in 2024. Thank you for watching, subscribing. Make sure you leave a little comment below, and we can't wait to chat with you about SuperCoach and all of your other fantasy footy formats for the 2024 fantasy footy seasons.